collaboration. The subject of education is so important. It's so important because it creates the narrative, it creates the standards, and how people are guided. I don't know if any of you have been following, but even in the United States right now, the quality of education and the pattern that is being given to the children is bringing them to a point where they are being convinced that slavery never happened. It started in Texas. The books have been published. The books are in hands of children as we speak. And the impression it is given is that slavery never happened, that the Africans that you find in the US were merely immigrants and people that came to work. Now imagine what that is going to do in another 20 or 30 years. You're going to have a generation of people who will stick out their neck and continue to debate on the issue of whether or not slavery happened and whether or not Africans were carried away as slaves to the United States and to other parts of the world. That's how powerful education is. And with profound respect to all the people here that are of one religion or another, education has also been the basis of how we see ourselves, even in the African society. Okay, so you have the Christians and you have the Muslims that answer other people's names without understanding the implication of such names, even on their own culture. The fact that you are disconnected from where you're coming from who you are. Okay, and so they tell you Peter is a Christian name, John is a Christian name, James is a Christian name. Well, they are not Christian names, they are Arabic names, or they are Jewish names. Okay, and then you say Mustafa is a Muslim name, Fatai is a Muslim name. No, they are Arabic names, and we need to understand some of these basics so that we'll even see the value and the reason we need to think about educating ourselves from the African perspective, because it's going to empower us, it's going to make us proud of ourselves, give us a place on the global table. And when we speak of the collaboration, there's just, well, there are so many opportunities that we have right now. A meeting like this is one of them, where we have the opportunity to share thoughts. I'm already seeing another educator in the person of Helen, just my first encounter, and it gives us the opportunity to just keep sharing information. The interesting thing is that there is none of us here that knows everything he or she should know about Africa. And so the first thing that happens is that we compare notes and we get to build the right resource that we're going to share to the public and to the rest of the world about what Africa or who Africans truly are. Okay, so we pick up the information like Helena Pia is Ghanaian, and so about the Konfa Noche, yeah, Santua, and all that. Now, when you speak of a Konfa Noche, the first impression a Christian will give to you is that that's occultic, that's a fetish priest, that's an evil man. Okay, but they want you to appreciate their own culture, their own way of life, and all of that. In Ghana, for instance, the marriage of the Ghanaian is called engagement, and it continues to be engagement until you wed in church. That's how bad it is, and it's all a function of the indoctrination that we're talking about. And so, but when we begin to receive information on a platform like this, I can talk about the engagement, and Helen will correct me to say, no, that is actually marriage. In the Ghanaian society, it's not engagement. That is the marriage that we're talking about. Education flows, and in the process, we also understand some of the basic things that will help us drive society. One of the challenges when it comes to the collaboration is that, you see, we're all victims of the indoctrination that we keep talking about, the way we think, the way we approach things, the way we view Africa. Now, you look at politics in Africa, and the democracy that we are being taught. That is not African democracy, but Africa had its own democracy, which we can learn and use to drive governance in our society. Okay, when it comes to the economy and working together, the administration that is supposed to be used to drive society. Now, we are a communal society. Okay, we believe in Ubuntu. We before me. We need to work together. We need to grow together. We need to share whatever it is that we have as a common entity. But right now, the standards that we're using to run the African society are standards of capitalism. Okay, and the capitalism continues to make the poor poorer and the rich richer. And we have this false impression that we've created, which we call the middle class. Okay, and so people contribute to things, watch their kinsmen steal from them, but will not do anything about it. Okay, so your kinsman steals from you, collects all the monies and all the wealth that is meant to be shared in common, makes it the grounds upon which he makes his life a better life, raises his children, makes them wonderful people, and then invites you to his daughter's wedding, gives you a piece of chicken, and what you don't realize is that what you're actually eating is your money, but you're praising the person and you're saying, oh, the wedding was great. But if we can go back to the communal way of life, we will be able to train ourselves on how we can live communally. The question is it possible at this point with all the things that we have experienced? Well, China did it. China refused to throw away the concept of peace and famine, in 1977, when the World Bank and IMF were telling them that, yes, it might be good, so, but it is not economically viable. The intention was to throw it away and apply whatever new technology and new theories that were coming from the West. But they refused to do that. And today, it's not just technology, that has sustained China, but those peasant farmers, those people that are into sustainable agriculture and all that, those are the people, or subsistence agriculture, sorry. Those are the people that have added a lot of value to the Chinese society and kept them going. But in our case, we just keep throwing things away. So we need to come back to the table. When it comes to technology, first, in the area of technology and inventions, we even need to come to a point where we appreciate the fact that, hey, most of the things that we're giving credit to Europe and the West for actually came out of Africa. And if we can learn that, we go back to the drawing board and we're saying to ourselves, how do we improve on where our ancestors stopped? How do we make it better? How do we enhance, the quality of lives that we are meant to live based on the technologies that our ancestors, produced? Now, even I don't know if there's anybody here that is a medical doctor, but on the day that you're being inducted as a medical doctor, you're meant to take the Hippocrates oath, and we are made to understand that Hippocrates is the founder and the father of medicine. Now, this was a guy that lived over 1,000 years after Imhotep was on the soil, meaning that Hippocrates is not supposed to be the father of medicine. But our notes, our information, they were all destroyed to the point that we cannot even identify ourselves on the global table. We need to start sharing information. We need to start talking. And, I'm just so thankful for social media. The fact that I don't have to come to Kenya to learn these things. We can just meet like this more often. We can just sit together, have a WhatsApp platform, have a Telegram platform, and just keep sharing information. Okay, information that is exciting. We don't have to agree with everything, but we are at least given the opportunity to think critically about the information. And the ones that we find out are not true, we discard of them, but we will be able to grow a certain mentality. When we begin to grow, we're 23 here or 22 now. Imagine if we're able to influence another 22 and another 22 and another 22. In another 5 months, we just might begin to run into people that are policymakers. And before you know it, the education system in Africa is going to be overhauled. Whatever it is that we are learning right now in the name of education is not education. It's not education.
Thank you.
So we need to be able to get it right, know who we truly are, connect with the realities of our ancestors. We can't grow Africa without our own content. We can't. And everything that we have right now is just the narrative of another society. We're looking at ourselves through the lenses of the Berlin Conference of 1878. We're looking at ourselves through the lenses of the definition of development that happened in the 1940s when Harry Truman spoke about it at the United Nations. We were not in any of these places. We didn't decide, to be part of any system that is running right now. We are just dragged into it, and we are being told that our way of life is backward, savage, evil, and all the other things that were being used to describe us. We need to come to a point where we correct these things. And the way to do it is platforms like this, share information, bring out stuff, let us scrutinize it and say, oh, yes, this is true. It might not be so wonderful, but this is true. This is truly about us. What can we do to correct it? And out of it, we'll begin to build curricula that will be used in various parts of Africa, that will teach us who we are, what we are meant to do, and how we can drive our society forward from the African perspective. I think I should stop for now. And just
that was amazing.
Listen. Yes, ma'am.
That was amazing. I think, Prince, did that answer your question?
Oh yes, it did. And yeah, it did. If there are anything, I think there's the way forward. Way forward.
So we can't hear you properly, Prince.
Can you hear me now?
Your voice is really, really low.
Why would that be?
That's better. We can hear you now.
You can hear me now. All right. So thank you. I'm saying, yeah, it did answer my question. Thank you very much. It did answer the question. So I'm just going to leave it back to you, Helen. But my next point would be, what's the way forward? What's the way forward? How do we get universities or institutions of learning? You're in Ghana, sir, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I am. Yeah. Yes, I am.
There's an institution in Ghana to partner with an institution in Nairobi or wherever, to partner on a project together on research. We keep talking about the fact that we are not, what we are experiencing is not education or whatever we have to describe it. But how do we have a research that can help us, fine. How do we then get these, institutions, how do we encourage them to partner, to work on this?
Sorry to come in, please. I hardly hear you, and then I'm interpreting in sign language. I hardly hear what he's saying, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes, it's okay by now. It's okay.
Thank you very much. So my question, I'm just going to go straight to it now. How do we get institutions of learning, to engage and embark in researches, that can help us build a portfolio and maybe ultimately a new curriculum, that actually, that we can eventually all say is no longer borrowed. Because we keep saying we are having the borrowed education, but we still want to get our master's degrees, our PhD, and all on borrowed education. You understand? And so I am not a fan of, always talking about the problem. And in your bio, I also saw it. If an idea is not solution based, I read it out, then it shouldn't be counted as an idea. And that is it. So of all these, what is the solution? How do we get Ghana to partner with Namibia, to partner with Malawi or whatnot, research based, in order to have a proper curricula that can really talk and educate Africans. We are not looking for a narrow-minded education, right? It needs to be expanded, it needs to be wide and broad and open, but we need an African kind of education. How do we achieve that, sir?
Okay, so thank you very much. That's also a very, very important question. So it's already going on. It's already going on. It might not be happening on a large scale because you see, whatever it is that is running right now is enforced through regulators. And some of the times you can't just get up and walk away from the regulators, because if that even happens, you lose your license. or whatever accreditation that you're running with. So one of the things that we've been able to do in Ghana, for instance, and I believe that Helen might also know, is that Africana studies is now being projected and taken very seriously in so many universities in Ghana. I am the vice president of Synergies Institute Ghana. It's one of the private universities here in Ghana. And we are pushing the agenda for Africana studies, and we are collaborating with a few other universities here. We're holding the seminars that will bring, give some kind of popularity and reputation to some of the issues that we're discussing. And then individually, we also take up certain subjects and just write about them and have other people write in to say, I disagree with this, so maybe you should look at this from another perspective. And they're not just coming from the African continent. There are so many other Africans that are outside Africa that read these things and continue to make comments. For instance, one of the things that we are working on right now is how to deal with abuse and disrespect in African marriages. And it's a series that's been running for over 2 months now, and the feedback has been wonderful. And out of it, a book is going to be published by the end of September, to discuss the matter, or to put it out there, in terms of how marriage should be contracted in Africa and how some of those standards can help to check or ameliorate the issues of abuse and disrespect in African marriages. We have the African University College of Communications. I was privileged to be director of student affairs in that school for about 5 years, and then later became the director of corporate communications. And the partnership with them has even gone far beyond the African continent. But there's partnership with a university in Uganda, in Kenya, in the United States, Morehouse College, I think it is. And so we have all these opportunities going on. But the other thing in terms of the way forward is for us first to stop being afraid of expressing ourselves in terms of the information that we get and the information we find. Some of the times we're afraid to share this information because someone somewhere is just gonna say, where's your proof? Where's your proof? How did you get what you're saying? And if there is no proof of what you're saying, then it will not be recognized. It will not be respected. Okay. People like Ivan Van Sertima went through this until he came up with his book and all of that. In fact, so many other professors from other parts of the world shut him down. We need to be able to appreciate the African standard. And one of the things that we have working against us is the fact that most of our contents, were destroyed. Some of them were hidden and were stolen first and then hidden in the West. And they are not willing to release any of these things. And so if you're here and you're into politics, I think it is time for our political class or political leaders to also begin to provide service to the Africans by insisting that whatever information, whatever African content that is still hidden in the museums and in the caves or wherever it is they've put it in Europe should be sent back to us, because these things contain the information that we seek. Then when we speak to ourselves, in terms of the collaboration, I'm definitely going to be collaborating with Helen. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
You have no choice. You have no choice.
And we're gonna start talking. And you never know, from there we can develop a small module, just a model for now, and we can use it to teach students in Synergies Institute Ghana, for instance. And we do that, we give it publicity. Another school tries it, and another school tries it, and another school tries it. Before you know it, it might just become a point of reference. And that is how we develop. The societies that we are representing today and we are wishing to be like, that is how they developed whatever it is they have today. Of course, after destroying what we have and making it look like we never had anything, okay? But we now have a platform that we can start with. The fact that we have discovered the truth. Then we start projecting it, start running with it, okay? So Helen and I, another person, Prince comes on board, Arthur comes on board, and before you know it, we can even collaborate and write a book in any area, of human existence as far as Africa is concerned. One book goes out there, you might just suddenly find other people saying, let's do another book. Let's make this a series. This is so interesting, but I don't think it's complete. There's more information that we need to share on this subject. We go back to the drawing board. And before you know it, in another 1 year, we might just have enough content for every aspect of social relations. And that is when even our university system and the education sector will begin to take us seriously in terms of content.
That was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Great. I'm sorted. I'm just waiting for action.
Thank you. I just want to open the forum. This is so exciting to me. I'm so passionate about this subject. As I said, education is my passion. I live and breathe it, you know, because it should be accessible to every single body, every single person. And what what the guest speaker is saying is like what I've been saying, but it's like sometimes you feel that nobody's listening. And the funny thing is the West is adopting all the things from Africa. I mean, like mixed classes that we have in Africa, the West is now adopting it now. And I'm looking at it and saying to myself, where are we going wrong as Africans? Our traditions, our wedding traditions as well. So let me stop, or else I could go on forever. Please, Ogochukwu, please, can you put your details, how we can link up in the chat so that other people can also connect with you? You know, and it's a shame. They're saying that if we want to put anything in any knowledge, we have to put it in a book. And a lot of the times as Black people, we don't want to educate ourselves, you know. And for me, I'm doing my master's in education. You know, my passion, my degree was in social sciences. So my passion has always been for things like this, you know. I have a hand up from Dr. Nas, so I'll hand over to Dr. Nas. But it's like all these, you know, social factors all come together. You know, you can't have one without the other. They interconnect. You know, our wedding systems, as Ogochukwu was saying, you know, we have our own tradition, but we've now adopted this white bridal gown thing, which is not our culture at all. We have our own culture. And again, we've just tossed it for something else. We have to come back to the basics. So please, Dr. Now, you had your hand up. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Nweke, that was really powerful. Yes, that's awesome. You're doing great. And I just wanted to add, I think you've said it all. You've just nailed everything right there, just like that. And I was just enjoying and nodding over here. And I wanted to add that, yes, Africans should come together. I think that the Association of Commonwealth Universities is doing very well by, you know, they bring us together. I was a fellow some time ago. Yeah, we went to Rwanda, African students. Yeah, and we were sharing our culture and doing so many other things. Yeah, but then I think that Africans themselves, like you're saying, we should also find a way of collaborating, coming into partnerships and signing MOUs so that we can help. We really have to pick this thing up. Otherwise, our culture is fading. Our children do not know much about our culture, and so much is getting lost. Sometimes I become so sad because yes, they took everything away from us. We had a lot. We had if you read what do you call them? These Nigerian actors. Oh gosh. The name is not coming, but they actually wrote about what the white man came to take from us. The African woman was a very powerful businesswoman. The African man lived very well with the African woman. You were talking about marriage, and that's why I'm going this way again. The fact that, you know, when they came, we were more egalitarian than any other thing. We really respected and revered ourselves. And Ubuntu, indeed, is what we believed in, because I am because you are. We did that. But then the white man thought that no, the Victorian woman style was the best for us so that they can steal from us. And that is how come they took away everything that we valued. And, you know, we also embraced it because of what they brought to us. We were so ignorant. And today, the Black man thinks that paying a bright price for a woman is buying her. So then you have to brutalize her. You have to, you know, do so many evil, be violent, you know, in the marriage, and then do so many other things that are uncalled for. So in this, your research you're talking about, I think we have to disabuse the idea of bride price being purchasing the woman. It's just a token that is given to the family for taking away the services of the woman. Because you cannot buy the woman. You can never buy the woman. The woman is serving her family, and you're coming to take away that services, you know, and so you give a token to the family, and it is not like purchasing her. But this is what happens. A lot of the people we counsel say that, oh, but I've bought her, I've paid her bride price, and I deserve better. I should do whatever I can do to her. And these are all challenges African women are facing nowadays, all because we have been marginalized. Colonization has taken over us so completely that I don't know, but I think we can pick the bits and pieces. You were talking about collaboration. We can collaborate and do something good. We can write books that people will read and realize that no, there's something that needs to be done for the African to come back. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your presentation and then the responses. I'm grateful. Right.